Cannae, 216 BCE.
You just watched a trap slam shut.
In real time, it didn't look like a trap. It looked like a breakthrough.
Because the center gave ground on purpose.
First, you win the flanks, because flanks are exits.
Then you let the enemy press forward until forward becomes too deep.
And when they can't see the shape they're inside, the doors turn.
This is the moment Cannae becomes a legend. Now we rewind every move, so you can watch the trap close, step by step. War Through Time. Episode 4. Before the weapons change, war is still geometry.
Southern Italy, 216 BCE, near a river, on a plain built for speed and dust.
A commander who didn't need numbers, only timing.
A Roman consul who trusted momentum and mass.
Another who feared the plane itself could become the trap.
Ancient accounts don't agree on every detail, but they agree on the shape.
Control the exits. Shape the pocket. Close the lid.
If you want the next forgotten world, subscribe, and we'll uncover it together.
Act 1. Why this battle had to happen.
This field was not chosen by chance. It was chosen for what it would do to movement. On open ground, cavalry has room, and escape routes become targets. Strategic ground ties to supply and movement. Pressure builds until leaders demand a decision. Rome answered with scale, one of the largest field forces it had assembled.
But size doesn't guarantee control, especially under divided command.
One voice urged caution. A flat plain can become a trap.
Another pressed for a decisive blow, trusting weight to break the center.
Hannibal didn't need to outnumber Rome. He needed Rome to step where he wanted.
Dust can blind lines and swallow signals.
At Cannae, the flanks weren't just sides of a battle. They were the exits.
So the first move is simple to say and brutal to execute. Take the exits.
Act 2. Take the exits. At Cannae, the battle begins at the exits, not the center. On one flank, heavy cavalry moves like a hammer, fast and decisive. Near the river, space collapses, and a flank can break quickly.
Once a flank loses shape, it stops being a flank and becomes an opening.
The instinct is to chase. The smarter move is to turn.
Because winning a flank means winning control.
On the other flank,
Light cavalry behaves like a net. The goal isn't glory, it's time, keeping help from reaching the center. While the flanks decide the exits, the center must stay steady.
Dust turns signals into guesses, exactly when rhythm matters most.
Now the cavalry that won the flank moves toward the back door.
From the ground, it still feels like the decisive moment is ahead.
That's the perception. When exits vanish, the center becomes a corridor.
One exit is taken, the other is held. The only direction left is forward.
And here the trap becomes elegant, because the center can begin to give way.
Act 3, the pocket!
Act 3, the pocket.
Now the most dangerous job begins. The center.
Rome pushes forward in mass, aiming to break straight through.
With exits compromised, forward becomes the only obvious direction. For Hannibal, this isn't about speed, it's about timing.
The center gives ground, carefully, deliberately. A line that was flat becomes a curve. A curve becomes a pocket. From the Roman side, it looks like progress. The enemy is falling back.
But a retreat can be bait if it keeps its shape.
In dust, seeing the battlefield's shape becomes harder than fighting on it.
The deeper the pocket, the tighter the space, and tight space kills maneuver.
The flanks don't chase. They wait, like hinges ready to swing.
In a crowd this dense, command becomes delay, and delay becomes chaos.
While the pocket deepens, the lid moves into position.
What felt like a battlefield starts to feel like a corridor.
The hardest part of genius is waiting, until almost becomes inevitable.
The pocket is formed. Now it needs one thing: the doors to turn.
And then, almost invisibly, the hinges begin to swing.
Act 4, the encirclement.
The decisive move is not a charge, it's a turn. A corridor becomes a room. A room becomes a cage.
In that density, an army can't pivot. It can only compress. When signals can't travel, leadership becomes local, then disappears. The danger isn't the enemy in front, it's the enemy that no longer stays on the side.
This is envelopment, pressure applied where movement is impossible.
And then the lid arrives, closing the last open direction.
The trap closes. Inside a sealed formation, strength turns into congestion.
Light cavalry keeps the perimeter honest, stopping escape from becoming a breakout.
For Hannibal, victory is not a moment. It's a completed shape.
Cannae endures as a textbook because it's sequential. Flanks, pocket, hinges, lid. Once sealed, an army can't fight as an army. It can only endure. But even a perfect encirclement doesn't end a war. It changes what the war becomes. Act 5, the aftermath and the legacy. When the noise fades, the battlefield doesn't announce a winner. It simply goes quiet. Cannae is remembered not for one blow, but for the shape that made every move unavoidable. Rome survived, but it learned what happens when an army loses its exits. Win the flanks, shape the pocket, turn the hinges, close the lid. Weapons evolve, armor changes, but the geometry of war survives.
What horses once did with speed, information now does with vision.
From spear to satellite, the question remains, who controls the space and who loses the way out?
Cannae closed a lid. History kept turning the key.
History is not the past. It is the foundation of who we are.